doing, Mr. D?
All right.
The first question I asked you about your childhood education, as far as middle school, high school, and college.
But they were fantastic. Miss Wilson, who taught us fundamentals. As a matter of fact, most of the people who were in the elementary school band that I was in, most of them, we grew up to become band directors, or some of them are world performers. And I talked to Miss Wilson a few years ago, and she was very proud of the fact that most of the students that she started in elementary school wound up being very, very successful in music and in other things in life. So really proud of that. In my middle school, and back then we called it junior high, Mr. Richardson was just a taskmaster, just scales, and understanding the instrument, master. He used to talk about that all the time, mastering your instrument. Practice. And so I always thought he was too much of a disciplinarian, but he was a great teacher, fantastic teacher. And then got to high school. That was the first time I interacted with someone every day who was a jazz musician. And so my high school teacher, Mr. Sanders, was one of the coolest people. And I was like, man, he get angry, but he doesn't. He's just so cool. And he was a great clarinet player and saxophone player. And I heard him pick up a clarinet and play some blues one day, and that just blew me away, that you could make a horn sound like that. So that was a big inspiration to Mr. Sanders. Is and he's still alive. It was just fantastic musician, great teacher. And I got to college, and then my college teachers all were very, very influential. But there's one particular teacher, when I got to Southern University in New Orleans, his name was Kid Jordan. Kid, as we call him, he did more to transform my life, both musically and as a man, than anybody else. And if you YouTube or Google Kid Jordan, he's actually an avant-garde saxophone player. That is.
Think back to 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Did you envision this is where you would be as a band director? Or?
Wow. Yeah. I for as long as I can remember, in terms of education, I wanted to be a college band director, and then I got the opportunity at Albany State, and I kind of think 5 years ago we were beginning to reach our peak, or as we used to say here at Albany State, our potential. But yeah, I would have never dreamed that we would have achieved all the things we did here at Albany State. So that was pretty much, it was like growing up in New Orleans. I played with a funk band for years, and we were pretty famous around New Orleans. Matter of fact, people still will see me and associate me with that band that I played with in the 70s. We played a lot of Earth, Wind and Fire, Tower of Power in Chicago. That music that had a degree of difficulty to it. We had a big horn section, and it was great. So I developed my sense of playing in an ensemble from playing in that group. And of course, I fell in love with Count Basie and the Basie style of swing. And so when I started teaching, my goal was to always get my students to swing like Count Basie, the Basie style. And so that's like a fast synopsis, but that's pretty much how my educational career went. And I think about those teachers every day. Every day they come to my mind. I don't let anybody be harder on me than I am on myself. So I try to criticize myself. And I appreciate when people people are, people tell you sound good, that kind of stuff. But I already know that I gotta practice. I need the piece we were talking about, Spain by Chick Corea. That's it's a challenging piece, and it's a beautiful piece. I remember in the early 70s, we were at school at Southern, and guys were trying to put it together, and I don't seem like I could ever get it right. So anyway, here these last few months, if you will, we've been playing the piece, and we played it at the Russell Malone concert I did. And it's interesting because it's in D major, but you can experiment with all kind of tonalities, especially B minor. Like Elvin.
To embrace failure?
Disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. So I had to develop a technique where when I didn't achieve a goal, I had to really do a self-analysis. What happened? Why didn't I get the job? Or why wasn't I successful with this piece of music? That kind of stuff. And try to work on fixing the problem, whatever the problem is. Work on my weaknesses, which we all have them. And I still, to this very day, as a matter of fact, in a few minutes, I'm getting ready to take a ride to a rehearsal where I know we got to work on our weaknesses. We got to work on what's wrong, and always strive to fix it. You'll never be perfect, but you're trying to achieve perfection. We're going for it. So that was the thing. That's how I deal with disappointment. Just self-analysis. Don't blame anybody else. Just blame yourself. Look at yourself. See what's wrong.
How did you build the skills of always speaking so encouragingly in front of others?
Oh.
As a band director.
Oh. Well, thank you. As a student, I always responded better. I don't know why. To teachers who were, even though they'll tell you what you're doing wrong or scold you, or even I've been paddled and everything else, I responded well to people who were more positive. And I've had teachers who were very, very militaristic, if you will, really disciplinarians. And though I never considered myself a problem or a discipline problem, I never responded to that kind of yelling and that kind of stuff. So I don't think I would have done well in the Army. I try to be as positive as I can, and because that's how I responded. I do well in a positive environment. course, I grew up in New Orleans, and it's such a cultural city. I think it's probably one of the most musical cities in the United States, because the music was central to everything in our lives. You know, from weddings, funerals, everything we do, music was an integral part. So musicians were revered. They still are. And so if you were a musician in the neighborhood, the people kind of looked up to you. So, in conclusion, the easiest and the best way I can summarize things in terms of myself is I am very blessed. I get a chance to do something that I want to do every day for a living. That is, teach music, play music, be involved in watching young people develop. It's a beautiful thing to be a teacher. I still have my mom and dad around. I got the best wife anybody could have. My children are all doing well. They've all finished college, 2 from Albany State. And so if any man got happiness or has happiness more than I deserve, that would be me, because I'm blessed in so many ways. So I appreciate the opportunity to be interviewed by you, and I hope anything I've said helps in terms of your video project here, and of course your career. So thank you.